Lucy, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is one of my cats, Boris, and in the background here you can see our other cat, Pepper, and today we are going to be talking to you about how we all came to live in a 300-year-old thatch cottage in the English countryside. Go on then. So our journey started back in 2016, when my husband and I took our friendship to the next level and decided to move in together, and we got a very tiny flat in London, smaller than this room, and that was the entire flat, and we lived there together for about a year and a half, and then we moved to another flat just outside of Oxford, which was in a beautiful old building with amazing beams and amazing, it was just a gorgeous place. We lived there for another year, but it was in the middle of a town and it was extremely noisy and it just wasn't really for us. We had issues with parking, and decided that we should really, you know, jump on the property ladder. We then found the most gorgeous Cotswold stone cottage, not far from Burford actually, if you know the Cotswolds, and it was so tiny, and it just fit my husband and I in, and our two cats. At that time we didn't have Pepper, she's only 2 years old. We had Boris and his sister Lily, who is sadly no longer with us. She had a really nasty heart condition that unfortunately is why she's no longer here. But we moved into that cottage with our 2 cats and were very happy there for about 4 years, and then we became pregnant. Finally decided that we should move back to Wiltshire, which is where we are both, I would say originally from. We're not really originally from Wiltshire, but we grew up in Wiltshire. I'm so sorry, I somehow lost, I don't know how, I've somehow lost the footage for the rest of that clip that I filmed. Never mind, I will continue it now. So like I said, we were looking for a new cottage to move into for about 4 years, and the reason it took so long was because we just kept getting priced down. We just couldn't afford something bigger or the space that we really needed, and I think we were just so happy in our current tiny little cottage that it had to be something really special that we knew we could make our mark on, or I don't know, just change into the way that we kind of wanted it to be. So we were originally looking the top end of the Cotswolds. We were looking in Stow on the Wold. We were looking still around Burford, where we were already living. We even looked up as far as like Leamington Spa. We went to Wales. It was crazy, honestly, it was crazy. We just couldn't find what we wanted in our area, and we came across a couple of really lovely cottages in the section of the Cotswolds that we were in, but for the size and for what we were already living in, it just made no sense to buy and sell there. We were 2 months away from having our daughter, and this cottage came up, and both John and I were like, we don't really want to move back there, do we? Neither of us really knew this area at all. And then we came to visit the cottage, walked around the village, and went to a local nature reserve, went out and had coffee, and we were just like, do you know what, this might be what we need at this time in our lives, something that's away from all of the noise, away from kind of the people moving out of London and coming into the Cotswolds and just buying everything up. Sorry, I keep eating cat hair. I just wanted something quiet, old, and with character that we could make our own. And when we first walked into this space, I loved it. The guy that was living here, his mum had passed away, and his dad a long time prior to that, and so he was left this cottage and was selling it, and he was really passionate about it coming to John and I, because we were having a baby, and he was just like, you know, I think my mum would have loved this. And he was telling us a story about when his mum came to look round and bought the house like maybe like 50-60 years ago, and he said there was like the smell of baby powder in one of the rooms, and there was bunk beds and there was children, and she just fell in love with it and loved it for that. So he liked the idea that there would be more children here again, and that he thought his mum would have really liked us, so that was really nice. And obviously the house hadn't been touched properly for about, I would say, 50 years. I could be wrong, but it needed a lot of TLC, and there was a lot that needed doing. So he said, make me an offer, I don't care how silly it is. And in hindsight, we should have offered less, because the amount of work that we've needed to do, and it's not just things like cosmetic, you know, the windows need doing, the roof needs doing, we've had to have serious like things done, which have cost a lot of money, and you know, we can't afford, to be realistic with you, we cannot afford to get the windows done, and we cannot afford to get the roof done. We've had to postpone the roof for another year, and I'm just fingers crossed that we have a good yield on straw this year, and A, we get the straw, B, the prices either remain the same or come down and we've had the year to save a bit more, or something miraculous happens and we manage to just afford to get it done. I don't know. So anyway, we put an offer in here, and then we bought the house in, I think, less than 8 weeks. And a lot of people were like, oh, you're crazy, you'll never do that, blah blah blah. But we were lucky because we were no longer in a chain, he was no longer in a chain, and it just meant that it all went through really smoothly. So anyway, that's kind of how we came to live in this old cottage and how we are here. So I'm going to go outside and plant some seeds, and my friend Sophie actually came over the other day and has kindly given me some delphinium larkspur. So she said to plant those in an old milk carton, and she said just cut it like this, pop them in it, obviously got some holes in the bottom, and just leave them outside and they'll germinate. And they needed a frost apparently. I've not ever grown them from seed before, so that'd be fun. So I'm gonna go and plant those. And then I've got all of these to plant. I don't think I'm gonna be doing all of them looking at them, but yeah, actually, lots of these to plant inside. So maybe we will do a lot of those. And then I'll bring them in the cottage and they can just germinate and do their thing inside. These obviously I'll plant outside, but yeah, I'm gonna get going with some of our cut flowers. So in my greenhouse at the moment, I've got some ranunculus going, which I need to pop outside now they have germinated. I've got some more in there, but those don't seem to have done anything yet, and I did plant them all at the same time. I've got sweet peas here, which yes, are very leggy because we've not had that much sunshine, but they're fine, and when I go to pot them on, I will just plant them, I'll bury them so they're a bit deeper, and then all of this will root and they'll be really strong. But for now, we are going to get on with planting some of these. So I have got the compost in. I've been using, I don't actually know what compost it is because my husband picked it. Levington peat-free seed and cutting compost. Seems to be doing quite well because my sweet peas have thrived. I think I've only had 2 not germinate, which I don't believe is the compost. I believe that's probably the the seed themselves. We are going to do some cosmos this morning, and I think I'm going to do some sweet rocket, and then of course the one that my friend Sophie got me, the larkspur. So these are the seeds I'm using. They're from the Hampshire Seed Company, which Sophie assures me are very, very good. I don't think I need that many. Right, and this is what they look like. They're tiny, absolutely tiny little seeds. I'm just going to try my very best to pop them in here. Okay, that should do. I'll give those a little water in a minute and make sure I label those up. Now, the cosmos that I've bought that will flower in the garden this year are double click. So they are, hopefully, I've never actually grown them before, but hopefully they'll be a bit bigger heads because they're often really dainty, and they look like they're kind of almost sleeves of petals, as you can see. So we'll plant some of those, and hopefully we'll get flowers between June and October. So cosmos seeds, they look a little bit kind of like, oh, which spice is it? Cumin maybe? Oh, it's getting windy, don't want to blow away. They look a little bit like cumin seeds. Obviously they're not, don't eat them. But they're a bit different, as you can see, to the larkspur. So I'm just going to pop those. These are a bit easier to pop in because I can A, see them, and B, they're a lot bigger. And they're long, so I know where they're going. Chicken coop bits are arriving today. We've had some arrive, have we?
Some. We've had 7 boxes out of 21, I think.
7 boxes out of 21 arrive. We're getting omelette, chicken coops. We're getting an omelette because we're getting chickens. No, yeah, we're getting omelette, chicken coop, and chicken run, and everything like that. John's mum's got them. So we know they're really good and they're easy to keep clean, and I just think they'll be nice and cozy for the chickens. I'm really excited to get chickens, actually. Always wanted to have chickens. I actually grew up with chickens, and obviously John did this. Did you grow up with chickens?
I don't think when I was very young we had them, but when, I don't know, I must have been a young teenager, or maybe 10 or something when Mum got them.
So he kind of did grow with chickens as well, because I didn't have chickens when I was in my teens. I only had the chickens when I got to about the age of maybe 10. I think we didn't have any. My parents, I think they just sort of dwindled away, because they were all rescue chickens from when my mum used to work at a country park in London, and people would just leave animals on the office doorstep. So we had rabbits, geese, chickens. We had a catfish, and we even had an axolotl at one point. People just left them. They could no longer look after them. I think that's more common than we realised. But anyway, we're getting my friend Taya's chickens, aren't we? And she's moving abroad. So pros and cons, I get chickens. So I'm quite looking forward to getting them. One's called Mildred and the other one I think is called Cecily. I keep misremembering the second one's name. Both very pretty names, and both names I love, so that will be good. And we're going to see how these two settle in, and then probably get some, couple more, probably some rescues. But I also want these little small bantams that I've seen. My Pilates teacher, because I do Pilates, has got one. She's got 2, but I want one of these little speckled ones she's got. And I forgot what her one's names are. I think they're called Lavender and something.
We'll see where she got them.
No, she said they're in her village, so she'll put me in touch with the owner that breeds them, and then we could get some of them as well. So I think that's really exciting.
The coop will be big enough for, I think it says 4 big hens or 8 little hens.
Oh, so we get 6. Mix them, mix and match.
Yeah, it should be fine. Yeah, so it's a good sized space.
Yeah.
We've got a big run for them, and all sorts of perches and feeders and bits and pieces. We'll need to get food and all that still. Yeah, Taya's going to give us all of that to start with so we can get ready to go. And she suggested to get a little section of the coop made as a sand pit. So they can... In the run? Yeah. Yeah, it's a run, sorry, I still got terminology. This I got from my parents' house. They had it on their dresser, and I said to Mum, I love that wooden chicken.
and because it's my parents and they have so much stuff because they're antique dealers, my mum was like, do you want the wooden chicken?
It is cute.
I have, it's actually a cockerel, isn't it?
Probably, it's got the comb.
Yeah, so we have our first chicken. I'm really uncomfortable about buying eggs from the shops, aren't I?
Well,
like,
yeah, you gotta make sure they're decent welfare and...
Yeah, but even if they're not, like, I know they breed, I don't want to talk about it, it upsets me, but yeah, I'm much happier having homegrown eggs, so it'd be nice to have our own chicken eggs, and I know where they're from, I know they're looked after, and also I know what they've been eating, mostly what they've been eating. Thank you so much for watching our mix of different videos today and the last kind of week of things that have been going on here at the cottage. I really appreciate all of you for following and being here, as does Pepper, who really wants to go and sit on the windowsill, but I've lit a candle so she's not allowed up there right now. But yes, if you're new here, hello, and thank you so much for watching. I hugely appreciate it. This is still a new venture for me doing YouTube, even though my background is film, TV, radio, that sort of thing. I'm not always still, even though I've been doing this for a couple of years now on other channels, I'm not still completely used to being in front of the camera and doing all of this. But anyway, I do hope you enjoy my video, and I look forward to seeing you on our next one.